Hey, here's a quick tutorial about how to generate tables in Causal. I've got here a really simple financial model with some basic assumptions, and then I go on to calculate my number of customers and revenue and my profit. And suppose I'm interested in seeing some of this information in a table. The way to do that is to just select a bunch of rows that I want to see in a table. In this case, I'll select customers, revenue, cost of goods, and profit. So I can just command click on a Mac or control click on Windows to multi-select rows. And then I can right click and click on create table. And so now we'll see on the right hand side that Causal has created a table for us in the charts section. We can show and hide the visuals with this button over here. So now we have a table with our 4 different variables in it. We have a few different customization options. If we wanted, we could specify how we want to summarize the table. Maybe we want to see a quarterly summary. And so in this case, Causal will roll up each month into quarters. And so it's sort of adding together all of these monthly values into quarters automatically, and we can expand and collapse them. So that's something that Causal takes care of. If we wanted to see a few more settings, we can go into the visuals workspace where we have some more detailed settings for the table. And so here we have a bunch of different options. If we wanted, we could see the variables in the columns. It doesn't really make too much sense in this case. And if we actually have categories in our model, then we can start choosing how we want to slice and dice this table. So for now, let's make this full width just so we can see a bit more stuff. And let's go ahead and add some categories to our model so we can see the table fully in action. So I'm back in the spreadsheet view, and I'm just going to add the product category to our revenue per customer variable. So we'll have a different revenue per customer for each product. If you don't know what a category is, I'd really recommend watching the basic categories tutorial video that we have in our documentation. So I'll add the product category to my initial customers and revenue per customer. And now we should shortly see that all the downstream calculations are broken out by product. So we have customers on each product, we have revenue for each product, and profit for each product. Our table doesn't currently reflect this. Our table just shows the totals. So let's actually go in now and make this work. Before that, we just need to sort out one thing, which is we need to tell Causal how to summarize the customers from months to quarters. So in order to summarize the revenue from months to quarters, it just sums up the revenue each month to get the revenue for the quarter. The same for profit, the same for cost of goods. Customers is inherently a cumulative quantity. And so if we have 347 customers in March 2021, that means we had 347 customers in Q1. And so we just need to tell Causal that instead of summing up the monthly values for customers, we always want to take the final month's value to get the value for the quarter. And so if I just right click on customers, if I go to time aggregation and tell Causal to use the final value rather than the sum, now in our table we should see 347, which is what we actually want. So now that's fixed. Let's go to the visuals workspace mode and let's see what we can do. So suppose we're interested in seeing all of this stuff broken down by our 3 different products. Maybe we want to have the products on the rows. We could go into the rows section, we can click on add item, and we can add the product item. And now, as we'll see, each variable in our model has 3 rows showing the values for each product. And if we wanted to see a total value as well for all the products combined, if we just hover over this item and click on total, this will create a total row for each variable as well. And so this is one way to slice and dice the data. We could see a row for each product for each variable. There's a lot of rows going on, and we may be interested instead in having the products on the columns. And so if we want to do that, we can just delete it from the rows, go to the columns, click on add item, and we can add product here. And so now you'll see that we have 3 columns for each month, and we can see our customers for each product type, our revenue for each product type, and our profit for each product type. And again, if we wanted to see a total, we could do that as well by hovering over the product item in the column section and clicking on total, and then we see a total column. And so it's up to us, how we want to visualize this data. The final option is to add it as a page. A page, as we'll see in a sec, if we add product to the pages, it'll essentially create this drop down at the top of the table, and then we can select what slice of data we want to see. So by default, we'll be viewing the aggregated values. So this is total revenue, total number of customers. And from the drop down, we can select the different products to see the individual values per product. And so if we just wanted to see all of these variables for the basic product, we can do that. The same for Pro and the same for Enterprise. In this case, the numbers are all actually the same because we haven't bothered customizing them. But that's how the pages would work. So there's three different ways in which we can show product on the table. We can show it in the rows, we can show it in the columns, or we can show it in the pages. If we add it back to the rows, there's a few advanced options that we have available for us. We could disable pivoting, which basically lets us then kind of collapse this into rows. The difference here is that if for example, one of our variables in the table didn't actually have the product category, if we add, for example, initial customers, actually that does actually have the product category. Let's add growth rate. Right, growth rate doesn't have the product category, so it only gets one row in this view. And if we wanted, we could collapse these all and kind of expand them when we want. In the pivoted view, it's basically the same, except we can't expand and collapse these things. And so the main difference between these two views comes when you have multiple categories going on. At the moment, we just have one category, so it doesn't make too much difference. There's a few other options here. We can set a custom start date and end date for the table, and we could go into individual variables and specify how we want to format them. So if, for example, for our profit, we wanted to have custom formatting, there's a bunch of options there. We could make it human readable, so we see like 4K rather than 4000, and so on. And so you can customize that to your heart's content. That is broadly how tables work in Causal. Enjoy.